Hello and welcome to my first guide at Space Potato. We're going to explain how we do solo waves. I'm Ops 50. We're going to do a level 50 regular, like non-elite wave. Most people in my ops can't do 5 waves, and a lot of people in my alliance ask me questions about how to do waves, how to crew for them. And as I tried to start to explain to them, I found there's a lot of little nuances, like little tiny things that I was doing to beat the waves. So I figured it would just be easier, faster to just make a video and go through it all. So I just right before this, I did a wave and I did a recording. So we're just going to play through that and I'm going to talk about what I'm doing and why. So these are the wave defense systems. There's like regular waves, there's mirror waves, there's now solo 45 waves, solo 50 waves, and then 50 elite, and then I think there's a 60 elite. And there's like the regular waves have 2 levels, and the mirror waves have 2 levels. There's a lot. You'll have to figure out which one you want to do, but the ones that I'm doing are the solo 50s. So that would be the one here. These are mirror waves. These are 45 solos, but it says solo on it. And I just do all my waves in the same system because I'm OCD like that. So that's the system I'm going to be going to. To do a solo wave, I need 4 docks available. And when you do one, you need to spend this Section 31 solo wave voucher. You get these every day from the S31 store, but you can also get them from the Battle Pass, the Wave Defense Battle Pass. And some other events sometimes give them. There's been some gifts that have them, but generally, like I think you get 100 of these a day, and there's a max. After you have the max, then you just get like 1. So you do want to try and do these regularly so that you're getting like the max number of vouchers, because the currency they give you is really good. But that's not what this video is about. This is just how to do the waves. So you select the ship, you click join or defend. And I brought my Tribune. What I'm doing here is I'm bringing a Cerritos first. So I'm going to use Cerritos to buff 2 ships because you have to buff ships individually. And so I'm going to bring the Cerritos in and bring my 2 ships and start boosting them. I boost the Ent A first. For me, the Tribune is the strongest ship, followed by the Enterprise A, followed by my Protector. Technically, my Protector has like 350 million strength, and the Ent A has 250, and the Tribune has like 170. But those numbers don't mean anything. Stop looking at strength numbers. Strength numbers are a lie. This is the strongest ship. Why? Because this has a ship ability that makes it do 4 extra shots per weapon if the target is burning, right? So like the damage per round on this ship is 25 million. On the Ent A is like 33 million. But I'm doing 100 million because I hit 4, or 125 because I hit 4 extra times, right? Like it depends on the weapons and each round and the firing pattern. But the point is that like the ship's ability is not reflected in the strength number. The strength number is literally your damage per round, your defense, and your health combined. That's it. And your defense is kind of irrelevant because what really matters, like your base mitigation doesn't matter. Your base piercing, your base armor, your base shield deflection. Those numbers don't really matter because you're going to be running an officer like Tom Paris or Beverly Crusher or Moreau, and that gets you max mitigation anyway. So that part of the defense strength number equation is kind of nonsense or immaterial. What matters is your hull and shield health, because that's how much the hostiles have to eat through before you explode. And of course your damage per round, but your damage per round doesn't reflect the ship ability, doesn't reflect your officers, doesn't reflect your chaos tech, your forbidden tech. It doesn't reflect your research. And there's a lot of research specific to what you're attacking and what kind of ship you're using and what activity you're doing. None of that shows up in the stat sheet. So all that is to say, the strength number can be wildly misleading. Don't rely on it. You need to just test your ships and see how well they do. And I, from testing, know my Tribune's my strongest ship. Okay, so Here I'm showing the crews. For my Tribune, I'm using S31 Giorgio, and then Lorca. None of these have a captain ability that we care about, but I want all their 3 bridge abilities. And the reason I want them is because I need to have burning. Like, burning decides the fight. Because, like I said, it's 4 extra shots per weapon. So, like, instead of hitting once, you hit 5 times. Or instead of hitting 2 times, you hit 6 times. So it's either 5x or 3x the damage that you would do otherwise. That's insane, right? That's one part of it. The second part is the hostiles we're fighting in waves. They have an escalating defense. They get Apex Barrier every round, and they reduce your crit damage every round. That means that in round 1, you're going to do like 4 times the damage of round 2. And in round 2, you're going to do 4 times the damage of round 3. Not quite, but like your damage just goes down really quickly to your like crit floor, right? Which has research in favors. But even if you don't have them, my point still stands. Your damage in round 1 is the vast majority of your damage. So it's really important that you get your hull breach and any other important statuses active at the start of round 1. You don't want to use Gorkin, right? You don't want to use Nero or whatever, because those officers, they apply their ability within round 1. That means your first set of shots in round 1 won't benefit from those abilities, which means you'll do like half or 1/3 the damage. It's just no comparison. I have lost waves just because my Giorgio didn't fire. Because of these solo waves, I actually spent a bunch of transporter patterns and got my Giorgio to max, which is 80%. Now, if you're someone who's been playing for much longer than I have, I've only been playing for about a year, there's a good chance that you have the Voyager lower decks guys maxed out. So Bellana Torres, Neelix, and Harry Kim. Those guys, if they're maxed, they give you 100% chance. So if you have them, great. Then you don't need to like, you can do different officers. You can run something like NT Riker for impulse speed, or you can run like James Kirk to ignore shield damage. Just lots of options. But this is what I need in order to do damage, right? Okay. So then S31 Giorgio is here because it reduces the hostile's Apex Barrier. This is a huge damage increase because they have an Apex Barrier that like reduces your damage by 80-90%. The hardest hostiles do. And so cutting that in half means that they reduce your damage by 45% or 40% or less. My S31 Giorgio, you'll see, is at 50%. It's a tier 2. I also have Quasi below deck, so that's another 25% for me. But I honestly, like, adding Quasi, I didn't really notice the difference. I think I already had enough damage before Quasi. But, depending on your ship and your officers and your research, that may make a big difference. If you have Apex Shred, this is the place to use it. The other thing I would say is that your strongest ship is going to be doing the most work. So don't try to spread out your damage. Just give all the good stuff to your best ship. Make the strongest possible, like, one ship army you can make. And then make the strongest possible second ship army you can make. And then make the third ship as strong as you can. And you'll see that in action. I'll explain in Wave 5 why that matters. So here I'm showing you the officer abilities. Like I said, Lorca. My Lorca is only 75%. And because of that, I actually have Neelix below deck, and I have Bellana Torres. My Neelix is 30%, and my Bellana Torres is 60%. So I also below, I have, in addition to Quasi, like I mentioned, I have Pelia. Pelia increases isolytic defense by 70%. These hostiles do isolytic damage. I had a slot, I put it in. They do 2 types of damage. They do regular damage, which I'm mitigating with Tom Paris. And then they do isolytic damage, where there's no cap, but more defense is good. And so I put Pelia in. Your Pelia might be lower, might be higher. You may have lots of artifacts that give you isolytic defense. It doesn't matter how you get it. The point is, isolytic defense is good. makes you take less damage. And in a wave that matters because you have to get through multiple hostiles. There's Tom Paris. My Paris happens to be for 100%, but you could do it with a tier 1 Tom Paris, honestly, if you have enough defense stat on your officers. And then there's Neelix. And I also have Harry Kim. Why do I have Harry Kim? It's because with Star Path research, having morale on the ship, not only does it give me like some shield regen, but it gives me more isolytic damage. And more damage is good. These hostiles mitigate a lot of your isolytic damage, but that doesn't mean you don't want more damage. Like, it still increases your damage by the same amount it would otherwise. It's just that all your damage is reduced. So relative to other things, isolytic isn't any worse. I've heard some people say, oh, you don't want to use isolytic, you don't want to use crit. No. Just because these things reduce your ISO or your crit damage doesn't mean that those stats aren't good. It just means that, like, relative to them, weapon damage is slightly less terrible. And then finally, I have Impulse Speed, Alexander Dane. And that's because this ship's doing all the work. I also have my FC Kirk Impulse Speed maxed out. So, because this ship is the one that's, like, killing the hardest hostiles, you have to run from one to another. It's going to be doing all the work, so you want to be able to get there in time. And you'll see later that the impulse on my ship is like 265. Here's the second ship. It's running Picard, Beverly, E Data. Picard Beverly is just like Pike Moreau, but better, right? Because Pike Moreau, Pike gives you XP, which doesn't help you kill stuff. And then Picard has crit damage instead. So it's better in that sense. Picard Beverly also works against armadas, whereas Pike Moreau doesn't. That's not material here. The third officer, E Data, increases your isolytic cascade damage. Isolytic cascade, just think of it as like a big increase to your damage. So the more you have, the better. This data is 20%, but with this crew, it's 2.2 times 20%. So it's actually 44% more cascade, which translates to something like 60% damage, I think, increase overall. Isolytic cascade is by far the best damage increase in the game. I mean, it crit is also equally good, arguably, but they make each other better. So the more you have of one, the better the other becomes. But if you have it, if anytime you can get Isolytic Cascade, just get it. Is good. Something else I didn't mention is the Forbidden Tech is really important, and you'll see it in one of the combat logs later. My Tribune is using Metreon Cascade. My Metreon Cascade is high enough level that it gives me 30% crit for the first 3 rounds. Since these fights are often decided in round 1 or in the first 3 rounds, that's huge. That allows me to not have to run Hugh or Mazriad Vale on this ship, which frees up a lower deck slot and also helps my other ships. But mostly, like, I don't run it so that I can run something like Pelia or Impulse Speed instead, right? The second, the Chaos tech on this is also very important. I'm using the Chrono Deflector. I think there's like an epic one that isn't available free to play. You have to buy it. That's better. But aside from that, Chrono Deflector is the best. The reason it's so good is not only does it increase your crit damage by 350%, it also regens like 35% of your shields every round for the first 3 rounds. Right? Again, the first 3 rounds are the most important. So in my testing, my Tribune, if it doesn't have Chrono Deflector, takes a lot more damage because the shields run out by round 3, and then it starts to take massive hull damage. Just that little bit of shield regen is going to help you a lot. Obviously, something like Max Fortify with research can do the same thing, but Max Fortify is expensive. As you'll see, I don't use it in this run. I just use regular Fortify. But yeah, if you have Chrono Deflector, highly recommend it. So then here's my Enterprise A, right? On this, I have the Agabus and a PvP Chaos deck because I don't have anything else better, or because I was using it for Arena. There might be, like, maybe the loot is better. The loot is sitting on the ship that I used to auto grind. But this is my second ship, right? Probably this would have been better on the second ship, but I used my protector in Mirror Crew, in Mirror Universe. So I wanted to have it available at all times. Or I didn't want to like remove it and forget to put it back. And then it's in terms of lower deck officers, I've got a bunch of, I have like a bunch of Apex Barrier, and I have hull repair, because the job of this ship is really in wave 5. This weakens one of the 55, the hardest hostiles. The job of this ship is to sacrifice itself so that the Tribune can take less damage. So giving it longevity, I thought would be good. And then the Protector is the least damage of all 3 of my ships, so it gets the worst crew. Pakmaro Anorax is still very good. It reduces the damage you take. Here I'm noticing that I'm actually missing a lower deck officer slot. And I'm going to go ahead and put Odo on it. Because I expect this ship to take the longest to kill stuff, it's got all the Apex Barrier. Because basically, well, if I can't kill them, at least I can slow them down from killing me. Also, the Protector has the biggest hull and the biggest shield of the 3 of my ships. So that's why I chose to go with that. But these are all like minor min-maxing things. It's not essential to success. As you'll see, like the Protector just dies in wave 5 anyway. It doesn't do anything. Here I'm waiting for my Cerritos to have a cooldown again. So I'm showing like the below deck officers. The trick with the Cerritos here is that you want to boost 2 of your ships, right? You can't boost 3rd because you can only have 3 ships in here at once, right? So I boost 2 ships with the Cerritos because my Cerritos last like 6 or 7 minutes. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the Titan and give just a Fortify to my 2 ships again. So the Protector not only gets like the 3rd tier crew, it also doesn't get the boost. So it's like it was doomed. The Protector was never, it didn't stand a chance. RIP Protector. But that's what it gets for being a specialty ship. What I'm also doing here is I'm using 2 exocomps. The best exocomp for this that I have access to is 200% damage. So I have 2 explorers and a battleship, so those are the 2 I use. But you don't need them. If you don't have them, that's also fine. Here, what I do, because I don't have an interceptor in my lineup, is I use my Tribune to kill the battleships. Sorry, I have to pause something. I use my Enterprise A to kill the explorers, and I use the Protector to kill the interceptors. Because of triangle advantage, Protector slightly better against like. I'm giving the Protector the most optimal triangle condition. So here, what I'm doing is I'm pulling up the combat log of my Tribune versus a Ferengi Plunderer. This is a level 50 one. But here all I'm doing is I'm showing you why I set up the Tribune the way that I have, right? So let me pause at the right time real quick. Okay. So here you can see S31 Giorgio gives me 70% Apex Shred. Capel gives me 25% Cascade. Quasi gives me another 25% Shred. It says plus 25. I'm not sure why the notation is different, if that means something. There's Tom Paris giving me Mitigation. There's Giorgio proccing Burning. There's Lorca proccing Hull Breach. So that's good. If this hadn't happened, the results wouldn't be as good, right? And then, of course, Chrono Deflector, which is giving me some Apex Barrier, and also gives me shield regen. But more importantly, there's Metreon Cascade with 30% crit chance and critical damage by 150%. It also gives me like a bunch of hull and weapon damage, I believe. But here you can look at the damage that I'm doing. So my normal shot is hitting 80 million crit, and then my isolytic is 180 million. The Plunderer is mitigating out of 80, like only 16 million. So they don't have a lot of mitigation, but they do mitigate. They do have really high isolytic mitigation, right? So out of the 80 million, only 16 got mitigated there, whereas out of the 180 million, almost 76 million. So like less than half versus like 1/5 right? So your normal damage will go farther, but Cascade increases your normal damage and your isolytic is based on your normal, so it increases both. That's why Cascade is so good. These hostiles also have Apex Barrier, so that mitigates an extra 50 million, which applies after all this stuff. And then of the damage that I'm doing, of the 240 damage that I'm doing, 83 million goes to shield and 30 million goes to hull. But that, in the first shot, depleted the shields. And then you can see the next shots, 123, 126, 120 million, all going directly to the hull. And every shot is a crit. And my crits are 180, 190, 195, 191, 164, and then it's dead. I only take one shot of damage in this fight, I believe. And that's really important because it preserves your hull. Now, this is the easiest ones, the level 50. There's 51. There's there's two types of 55s. One that are much stronger than the other. Or yeah. There's Orion and there's Ferengi. The Ferengi are easier than the Orion. So here we're just killing everything. What's important, and if you have Kirshara artifact, you can queue them. I'm gonna turn down the audio because of all the alerts. If you have the Kirshara artifact, you can tell your ships to attack one after the other. But without it, you can still do this just fine. I want you notice my hull health on my 3 ships isn't really going down, and that's important. So this is you can't see it, but this is wave 2. Same deal, I kill everything. And then as you do these, you get better at it. But there's also charts that show you where all the hostiles spawn. Just from practice, I know that the next battleship will spawn, will spawn down south. So, the next target for my battleship. This is wave 4. Wave 4, you get a 55 Ferengi Plunderer right very close to the core. So you need to make sure whatever ship is targeting that is close. And it just so happens, because there's a battleship in the previous wave, my Tribune is always already there. But this is important because in this wave, my Tribune actually has to go across the map, and you'll see it become kind of close. I don't use my second and third ship on the 55s, because while they could kill one, I need to, the Tribune doesn't need help with them. The Tribune still kills them in 1 or 2 rounds. I believe I can actually double check, because I have all of the combat logs. So a 55 Ferengi Plunderer. You can see I took 5% hull damage killing one of these. So because I don't need help versus the Ferengi Plunderers, I save my other ships. This fight's actually taking 6 rounds. We have Giorgio, we have Lorca, we have Harry Kim. Everything's going off. And we're critting every single shot. Again, this is from Vitrion Cascade, plus my research. This is why when I see people recommend N.T. Riker as your captain, I'm wondering why. It must be because the people who make those recommendations are using a PvP Forbidden Tech. Because you don't need any more crit. And I don't have, a bunch of primes. I just have some Wave Defense Impulse. I don't even have it maxed. I have some Wave Defense Impulse from Section 31 Favors, and I have FC Kirk. So, and you'll see in the rest of this video, I don't need my Tribune, which is a slow ship to begin with, gets around just fine. So I don't know why people say you use NT Riker as captain or whatever. You don't need it. For most people, they're better off actually improving their ship's survivability and damage. So here you can see, instead of 180, I'm doing 123 million. And I'm not sure why my damage is lower against these, but I found that my damage is lower against the later waves. Probably because they're higher level or something. I don't quite understand it. but you can see I'm doing 123. The abilities they have doesn't really explain it. It's just Apex Barrier, but Apex Barrier doesn't affect the damage output. It affects the damage that they mitigate. So somehow these ships being stronger is affecting the damage output that I have. Instead of being 80 and 180, it's 50, 123. But if you compare that to round two, in round two, my crits are 30 and 70, right? So we already went from 170, 180 million damage, 190 million damage to like 100. So already half. Round two is half of round one. So one good round one is worth two good round twos. And in round three, it's now like nothing. It's like 33 million, right? It's just like here I'm doing a crit of 29. And now because we're in round four, not every hit is a crit, right? But the vast majority of my damage happened in wave 1, 2, 3. So that's still my focus. And I still rather have extra upfront damage than anything else. But you can see it's taking like 4 million hull damage. But they don't do as much damage to me either. I'm getting hit by 300k, 300k, 250k. That's not too bad, right? Because my ship has 165 million, so getting hit or like 5 million or whatever this is, like 2 or 3 million even, it's not a big deal in the big scheme of things. So again, I'm sending my Protector after the Interceptors, my Explorer after the Explorers, and my Tribune after the battleships. But here I'm trying to decide if I want to kill the Interceptor first or this. I queue an attack, but then I change my mind, and then it's going to bug out the Kirshara. Just be careful with that. If you're using Kirshara, make sure you know how to make sure you're familiar with the places when it bugs out and the places where and how to unbug it. Like here, I can't queue an attack. So I manually send it to attack, and then like now that the queue has been cleared or whatever, it gets through. So I'm showing my impulse speed here because I barely made it, right? Like I had to go here, then here, then here. Like it was a mad dash. But look at my hull; it's still basically 90%, and I'm going down here because this is where the first Orion Prowler battleship is going to show up. I'm trying to be ready for it. I also need to bring this down here, but I forget. It ends up not being too big an issue. This right here is the win con. So, at my ops, without Lorca, I don't believe it's possible to clear wave 5. Like, you just need it. My FC Lorca happens to be like 6,500 or 5,600 weapon, 5,600% weapon damage increase. It's significant. I'm sure if you have FC Lorca, you've noticed how much stronger it makes you. And this lasts 45 seconds, which should be enough for me to kill like 3 or 4 Orion Prowlers. And everything in this wave is an Orion Prowler, which means everything is going to kick your butt, right? So I'm going to show the combat log of my fight against the first Orion Prowler. This is the fight we're about to see. You can see I took more hull damage than the last time, but it's still pretty good. Why? Because we popped FC Lorca. And because we popped FC Lorca, our damage goes up relative to what it would have been otherwise. Without FC Lorca, it would be like, I don't know, 70% or something. Or sorry, like 70 million instead of 140 million, I think. Let me see if my last fight maybe will show that. No. I ended the wave with Lorca active. And you can see this fight is taking 2 rounds because I have Lorca. So these guys don't actually have huge hulls, but they do more damage. And this is what I love about the Tribune, right? When you have all your debuffs going, you hit. Did Giorgio proc here? I don't think it did. Yeah, in round 1, my Giorgio actually, my like burning actually didn't go off. That's why there's only 2 shots instead of the extra shots that I'm expecting. But over here, round 2, we have burning. I could just tell from all the green that I had burning. But you can see boom, 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 boom. 6 shots here, and then what is it? 3, 3, 9, 6, 10 shots here, and then an extra 6 shots here. So the Orion Prowler didn't stand a chance. It's doing, you should also note, 6 million normal damage and 37 million isolytic damage. Of the 6.7, I mitigate the maximum, the 71.2% here. And then of the 37 million, I mitigate 27 million isolytic, which is a significant amount. But if you have more isolytic defense, you'll mitigate more. I also have some Apex Barrier from Chrono Deflector, from artifacts, from research. But taking 1.8 million hull damage each time. That's much higher than the 250 million we were taking from the 51s, if you remember earlier. So here we are. Because my Enterprise A wasn't close enough, what I usually do is the Enterprise A hits this interceptor, which then weakens it, and then the Tribune hits it right after. Because it wasn't close enough, I just adapted on the fly. I went after this other battleship, and I'm going to come back and hit the Prowler. So there's the Tribune taking care of the 55. You can see I still have like a good 70% hull. And in this Prowler, I'm going to come back and hit it, and hopefully you'll see the Enterprise A took a bunch of its shields. It's regen to about half, but it took it down to 10-20% hull. And that is going to mean that this Tribune takes less damage from this. And that's really important, because I only have like 34 seconds left on my Lorca. I then send my Protector over here. I was supposed to attack this to weaken it, so my Tribune could then hit it afterwards. But I forgot. So everything here was a little bit delayed. You can execute this a lot better than I did. But my core still has 3 health. And there's 3 of these. As long as I kill one of them, I'm good. Oh yeah. What happened was I remembered that I hadn't given myself the Omega 13 ability. If one of your 3 ships is a Protector, Omega 13 can help sometimes. Like if your best ship is at the risk of dying, there was a time where I would die with it once and still finish the wave. Like, it's just an extra like 20% hull for me, right? You lose your Cerritos buff though, so it's not really 20%, but it's still something better than nothing. So here, the Tribune's killing this Explorer. The Protector's going to go and delay this, but at this point, it's so close to the core that even if you spam click target the Prowler while this is fighting it, you'll never hit it. Like, it will just teleport to the core and kill it. So like the Protector is fighting it, but the Protector's gonna die, and then it will instantly like hit the core. See that the Protector died and then the core died. Like it's just how the game works. But the important thing is there's 1 HP left on the core, and when there's 1 HP left, you get all the rewards. And so this is how you defeat a wave, a level 50 solo wave as an Operations 50 player that's mostly free to play. I get the battle passes, and that's pretty much it. Also, I'm on a new server. I'm on server 703. I haven't played the game for all that much, so don't let anybody tell you that you can't do these waves. It's more about your Forbidden Tech, your Chaos Tech, your officers, and your ships. Both of my ships are maxed. Although I did clear a wave 5 before I had an Enterprise A. Like, it was just Tribune, Protector, and Pylum for me at the time. But the process is the same. I just needed a max Fortify and a Lorca's Fist. Nowadays, I can do it with either Lorca's Fist or max Fortify. So I can usually do 2 waves back to back. So you can do, I can clear 5 twice. your results will vary. In terms of the fleet commanders, there's a bunch of abilities that are there that are helpful. I probably don't even have most of them set at this point because I have like good officers and stuff. It looks like I do have them set correctly. So like Lorca has damage against non-armada hostiles over here and piercing against armada hostiles, which is decent. Kirk has the most important ability, impulse speed. He gives you 40 impulse speed. Again, you may not have as high or you may have better. I don't know. But just spend some time looking through your fleet commanders and make sure they're all set to things that help you against hostiles. So, like, I believe Sloan has, like base isolytic damage. That's always on. These are for armadas. I believe Kirk also has like crit damage against when you have morale. This is a big one. But it's like, that's this and Starpath are the reasons why statuses are so important. By Starpath, I mean this research here. So if your enemy has hull breach, they do less damage. In the case of most hostiles, that's 0 damage when they crit. So like you actually want them to crit. There's morale giving you isolytic. There's morale giving you mitigation, which doesn't matter. But then there's morale giving you shield repair, which is really good. And then there's like some primes that you can get from for free from like the Alliance tournament and stuff. There's one that uses Omega particles that gives you crit damage. This one, I'm still working on it, but this is one that's just good against hostiles. There's lots of stuff that makes you better. And this video isn't to like tell you every little thing you can do, but the point is that's the process of doing a solo wave. Those are the ships I use. Those are the boosts I use. That's how I go about it. That's how I get a bit of extra juice out of what I have. And I hope this helps you clear more waves. Even if you don't clear all 5, like playing 4 is still a bunch of rewards. And you can see those rewards if you click on it and click on this little reward. So you see like wave 1, you get 300, 500, then you get 8. Like wave 3 is already a big milestone. So if you can clear wave 3, you get a bunch of extra stuff. Wave 4 is good, and then wave 5 is a bunch of extra stuff. I believe clearing wave 3 on a 50 solo is better than full clearing a 45. Except for, this is elite solo, my bad. Yeah. This wave 3 is worse. You get more for wave 3 here. So just like if you're ops 50 or close to it, you should be doing these, in my opinion. All right. If this video helped you and you want to see more content like this, give this a like, please, and leave a comment. Tell me if I got something wrong, if you have any questions, if there's something that you do differently, there's something that I could do that you think would help me, let me know. And then feel free to catch me on Twitch if you have any questions or if you want to talk about Star Trek. Cheers.